Hi, I'm Luis. Welcome to this talk. I am really happy that you chose this talk. It doesn't have an easy title, but the topic seems to be a bit wide. But I'm really happy that you did because it means that this question that I've put in here makes sense to more people. Again, thank you very much for validating it. Um, I'm Luis. I work in marketing, but more than that, I am an enthusiast about XR and more recently metaverse. And because of that, I actually started working on a book about the topic, about the metaverse, like since January, so the last 8 months. And while writing it, I kind of started thinking about, okay, so what is going to be the role of our old physical world when we're going to have this diversity, this multitude of other digital worlds around us into which we can enter, and even more, which we can edit, right? And which we can even own. So that started to bother me in the sense that, again, I come from a time when there was no internet, and that was the only world that we had. Right now, we are on the verge of having the possibility of portal ourselves into several different ones. So this actually is then a talk about, again, what are we going to do with our with the real world, or what the so-called real world? Because right now we are empowered to also to build worlds, right? If you have a lot of platforms that allow you to create your very own digital world, like for instance Horizon worlds, like so many other platforms that enable you to bring in objects, to create your own objects, and even more, to create the conditions for your own world, your very own conditions. And by conditions, I'm talking about the rules that are in effect in your world, and also the access. So you will only bring in to your world, to your digital world, whoever you may want to, right? So in that sense, by creating digital worlds, we are creating like our very own safe space, which is fine, right? And mind you, today, even more talking about the metaverse and this possibility of uh, having interchangeable formats between physical and digital, of course, we have the possibility of scanning um, assets on that exist in the physical world and importing them into our own private worlds, right? So we can, for instance, scan um, from like this small object that is a memoir of a very important moment of our mother's life, from I don't know, like a building that could be like a big monument that holds a story for you, or it could be like your childhood house where you were raised. Those could be also imported directly to your world, right? So, and that would be meaningful for you, and that would add to your experience, right? And mind you, at the same time, we could also scan in these assets not just places and objects, but even people, right? We could, thanks to volumetric capture techniques, today it's possible for you to scan someone and then to bring that scan into a virtual world, right? So, and even more, you can animate that scan, and you can have an AI interacting with you within your world with that scanned copy of someone. Or you could just have, well, a digital human that just, well, holds a skin, a different skin that and resembles no one that you relate to, or it could resemble, for instance, Einstein if you're a fan, right? So again, you are in control. You are in total control when you are editing and creating your own digital world. But of course, this applies not only to VR worlds, but it can also apply to augmented reality filters. Because then, if we apply these filters while we are living in our real world, let's call it still like that, or physical world, we can suddenly edit our reality in a way that we can just uh, obfuscate or just take away all the parts that we don't want to see, or replace them with something that we do want to see. Like, for instance, in this case that you're seeing, someone in the morning wants to see everyone else smile, so they can, like in the tube, see everyone smile, even as forcefully. But we could not be talking about seeing someone else smile. We could be talking about, for instance, seeing just seeing one gender, or just seeing one ethnicity. And in that sense, creating a world or seeing the physical world in the way that I think it should be seen, right? So what I'm talking about then is this ability for you, while building digital worlds, to create your own space. So if each one of us creates his own space, then what is left of this shared space where we are right now? Well, it's not there. And the issue about shared space where we are right now is that it entails, or it demands, some level of commitment, because my space here and my freedom here in the real world ends where someone else's starts, right? So there's some level of, well, more than tolerance, some level of coexistence that needs to be attained. So for that to happen, we need to have our own rules, we need to discuss them, and we need to interact in a way that makes everyone happy. So that level of commitment and discussion does not exist when I have my own world, which is tailored to my needs, which is tailored to my wants, right? So why should I actually make an effort if I have like a perfect world here, right? Why should I really focus not only to interact, but also to improve our physical world? I could improve my own world. And in that sense, well, probably make it the best way possible. And at the same time, also, I could, even if I don't want something or I don't like something in the physical world, I could just edit it in augmented reality, right? Now, by doing that, we also have another effect, which is by having augmented reality filters on the being used on the mainstream, we have an issue that suddenly everyone will have a different memory of the same time. So the same moment can be seen in a huge, diverse number of ways, given that also the diverse number of augmented reality filters available during that moment, and filtering the way that each one of the participants, each one of the people is seeing what's happening, right? So you're seeing what I'm getting. So the issue is, if there is no shared memory, then what's true and what is truth in that sense, right? So how can we say that something is true if no one else remembers it like that? So, and that's the value of truth, right? Because we cannot just say that something is true because I said so. No, it needs to be accepted, right? So this is an issue. This is the main issue. And actually, this lack of a shared space kind of takes us to the social impacts that we were talking about. So if you do not interact with others, if you do not have, like, again, that shared space for people to build together something, if you do not have, in a way, a space to hear different perspectives, to hear things even that you are not at ease with, things that actually challenge you, things that actually provoke you. Well, what happens is that then you will have no tolerance. Then you will have no debate, right? And you will be just focused on your wonderful private world. You will be like, we will all be solitary gods creating our very own temples to ourselves. But well, these temples will only be visited by, well, not so many people. And this is the real issue, because suddenly we are um, facing, due to this, then kind of a civilizational kind of a problem, because suddenly citizenship can be moved into a private sphere, which is something that really can, like, impact directly our way of life. But more than that, it uh, can also impact the way that we that we build a life together. And again, this takes me to this concept that we really need to then start thinking about. So again, my kid is well, I wouldn't say living in the metaverse, but sometimes he migrates to Roblox, to Minecraft, and he invites me in, and we do a lot of things. But the issue is, he is used to this layer of digital platforms in his life, and of course, this will keep on increasing. Now, the issue is that these new layers are, of course, creating new ways of interaction. And for this, all of this to make sense, I think that again, we need to find ways to reach out to everyone, and to avoid uh, not the possibility, because that's always open, but to avoid the need for people to just close on, well, some of these private worlds that we are talking about. And the first thing, I think, has to do a lot with having, like, again, new shared spaces, but new shared spaces that enable people to leverage both digital and physical. And these shared spaces should also become shared spaces that where everyone can build, where, again, people can interact, and people can, like, more than interact, can push together new projects, new platforms. And mind you, by saying shared spaces, I'm not necessarily saying or talking about 2D, 3D. I'm not necessarily talking about VR, AR. Again, can at an interface level, can be anything. It has to do directly with the possibility of us feeling motivated, each one of us, to build together and to create something with communities that surround us. And again, the metaverse has that brings that opportunity in a number of ways. But more than that, also with other people that share the same causes, that share the same purposes, and for that to happen again. I think that it really is important for governments to start being mindful of all the possibilities that exist. At the same time, it's really also important to adapt several of the public services, and that was the previous slide, but still, it's okay. Several of the public services that already exist to this new world, because again, we're talking about something that is going to affect, in a lot of ways, our health, not just the physical one, but also the mental health. It's going to affect the way that we are going to interact. It's going to affect the way that we are going to behave. So all in all, it's really important for a number of public officials and professionals to not just to be able to understand the trend and do the and follow up on everything that not on everything, but you know what I mean, to follow up on the trend and what's happening in the space, but more than that, also to become available to more nimbly edit and change and adapt to everything that is going to happen and that is happening right now in this space. So, and in the metaverse. So clearly, the role of governments here is also really, really impactful. And of course, at the end of the day, it all boils down to education. There's this wonderful saying here in Portugal that I think it will last like 100 years. This saying that goes like something like, you don't have democracy without education. So you cannot have the possibility to vote on something if you are not able to understand what's in there. And here it's pretty much the same. You cannot have a say on something and understand the benefits and also the challenges that something brings to you if you don't have education. So it does make a lot of sense for schools, for universities to start not only to have curriculum within metaverse topics, but more than that, also to try and focus also on these more, let's say, philosophical matters, into which and talk a bit about how all of these changes can change us and can affect us as a society. And in that sense, try and create also informed human beings, trying to raise them the best way possible so they can also do good decisions. So, of course, these are just approaches to the problem. I think that still there's a big path to be taken, and along or through it, we will be for sure having regulation, bringing in new ways of doing everything, and at a given point in time, there will be also new ways to again to make or to solve these problems. But meanwhile, this is what we have, and this was actually what I wanted to share with you. Of course, all your feedback is very, very welcome. Please use my social media to do that. Also, if you're interested in knowing a bit more about that about what we just talked about, please go on to Barnes and Noble, to Amazon. It's already on pre-sale. The book is called Metaverse, and there's a chapter just dedicated to this topic. So again, thank you very much for being here, and I do look forward to seeing you all in the next GatherVerse. Again, may your gather be well.